Hello, good day. Welcome to All Sex Talk. Today we're going to have an interview with Master Dante Amor, who is the executive producer of the Master Slate Conference MSC Worldwide 2021, who is a virtual event. As you or most of you should know, I am the founder of the Master Slate Conference, an event who has been held in Washington, D.C. area since 2004, so almost 2 decades. But last year and this year, because of COVID, we have not been able to do the event in person. So a group of MTTA, who is the organization who owns the Master Slate Conference, decided that they could do an MSC virtual, and it's called MSC Worldwide 2021. And it's an opportunity for us who for 2 years now have not been able to gather in MSC to do it from the convenience of our home. Master Dante is the producer, and we're going to be talking about the excitement and the similarity and the differences that are with MSC in person. The event will take place the same as MSC on Labor Day weekend in September, in early September. September 3rd to the 6th. So how are you doing, Master Dante?
I am doing very well, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, what is the purpose of bringing our successful conference in a virtual event this year? Why we ended up doing that, and what are your plans for it?
Well, first and foremost, when we realized that we were looking at a second year of not getting to come together as a community at MSC, it was not just something that was a loss to people that were in the community, but especially over this last year with the amount of disconnection that people have had with COVID and the canceling of the conference. We were also looking at how there has been an incredible embracing of technology by the community. People by necessity have come together using virtual events and meetings and ways to stay connected while people were in very deep isolation all over the world. So when we knew that it was starting to look like the second year in a row MSC in person was not going to take place, we immediately started having conversations about what might be possible if we were going to hold something virtually. And the beginnings of MSC Worldwide 2021 were born.
So what people are going to expect if they register to attend MSC Worldwide 2021?
Well, for one thing, we recognized immediately, and when I say we, I want to immediately share, we have an incredible staff of people that are helping to make this happen. The original idea, Sir Rob and Amethyst and myself, they are my co-producers, started to have this conversation about what would be possible. Instead of thinking in terms of how can we recreate what MSC does in person, we wanted to think in terms of what are the advantages of the virtual format? What are the things that we can do in this space that we could not do in any other one? So one thing right after that was the scope is enormous. We realized that we didn't have the limitations that MSC as an in-person conference has. I know that you deal with it every single year since you started it. How are you going to manage the flying presenters in and the budgetary constraints? With the virtual format, the world was literally our oyster. We realized we could actually reach not just attendees, but also presenters and educators from all over. So right now, what we have on tap for this is over 80 presenters, over 120 different events over the course of 4 days. We have 7 simultaneous education tracks, one of which I know is very dear to your heart. We're going to have a dedicated space for programming that will be happening in the Spanish language. That represents 6 countries alone that will be represented in Spanish-speaking presenters and spaces. But we also have people from 4 different continents. We have presenters from Australia and from the UK and from Canada that will all be present into basically putting on the largest MS event in history.
When you say 80 events, you mean 80 classes?
Actually, I said 80 presenters. It's going to be way more than that. We have over 120 individual things happening over the course of the day. So that includes socials, panels, facilitated discussions, etc., all over the course of the event from the 3rd to the 6th.
And what is the process to register? How people will register?
Our website has dedicated just for this event is mscworldwide.org. And on that site, you'll see a great deal of information, including bios of all the presenters, et cetera. But to get to the registration page, if you click on register, it will take you to an overview of the registration process itself and then a link to go ahead and register, which is all done online. It can take about 5 minutes.
I guess that people who attend MSC Worldwide, a virtual event, has the same problem that they have when they attend MSC in person. That is 11 o'clock and there are 7, 8 classes at the same time and they want to attend 3. And they obviously in person, you only can attend 1. But I understand that you have found a way that people can take advantage and see more classes. Can you explain that?
So interestingly enough, when the process began, the idea of the accessibility recording project began, what we were looking at is, well, if we're going to focus on a worldwide scope and we're going to promote to people all over the world, are we prepared to do programming around the clock? Which realistically, we just couldn't manage that. We didn't want to have 24-hour programming, but we wanted to make sure we were providing good value for people who might be joining us from completely disparate time zones, someone all the way from Asia or Australia or the UK. And so one of the thoughts that we had was, if we allowed presenters to have the option, if they wanted to be recorded, and then make those recordings available on demand over the course of the event to attendees. As we dove deeper into the logistics of doing this, what we found was that not only was it going to be an advantage for people in different time zones, it was an advantage to every one of us who's ever been to MSC and been overwhelmed and said, oh my God, this person's presenting, here's Master Taino presenting, and Guy Baldwin's presenting here, and Slave Girl J and Daddy Dawn are presenting here, and I want to be in 3 places at once. That in our event, because an astounding 80% of presenters opted in to allow themselves to be recorded, it means that the overwhelming majority of the educational content will be available on demand after it has happened live. So it will take some time. There's some buffering time. So basically when an event ends, Zoom starts processing the recording, and it takes about an hour or 2 before it's available. But as soon as that recording has been processed, links will be added to the online schedule, and registered attendees will be able to watch educational content on their own time. They can pause it, they can resume it. It also is an important piece of offering accessibility to people that are hard of hearing or have visual impairments, and different basically ways of processing information, because they can watch it at their own pace. So it really winds up benefiting everybody.
Even people who like a class so much that they want to listen to it again and get more the details that they may have missed. And that only going to happen during the event, or how long these recorded classes are going to be available?
That's a great question. So one thing that I want to point out, because there's a couple of things with regards to recording that was very nuanced, because I mean, we weren't sure how we were going to manage both privacy concerns and the concerns of people who have, different varying degrees of disclosure and exposure. The recordings will be available only to registered attendees, and through a portal that is password protected that you will need an account and be a registered attendee to access. But we will definitely make them available for at least 10 days after the conference, maybe even 2 weeks, mainly because we realized in the beginning, we thought we'd have 15 classes. And that might be something you could get through while, in the evening when the programming was done. Now we know the programming is going to be so vast that even if you went to every class during every day and decided to start catching up on the things you missed, it would take you at least a week or 2 full time just to get to all the things you wanted to do. But to address the other concerns, I want to point out that every recorded class will be highlighted. People who are participating will know that it is being recorded. No one is required to have their name or personal information shared. They can have their cameras off. They do not need to actually be exposed in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to be very, very conscious of kind of full consent disclosures in every stage of the process, so that there's no, unexpected or unintentional exposure.
Perfect. I think that, I don't know how all the virtual events work, but I'm seeing 2 great things with our conference. Not only the fact that as the MSC in person is dedicated to relationship with the uniqueness, but also after the event, you still could access some of the classes that you may have missed. I don't know if any other event has offered that, but definitely that is a big plus. You get a lot for your buck. So I appreciate, Master Dante, all that information. Again, the website is www.mscworldwide.org. All the information is there. The registration, even we haven't talked about that. Let's do it that quickly. How is it pricing? I think you have like 3 levels of pricing. How that works?
We do. So we realized once again, accessibility was kind of the big theme for creating this event. So we wanted to offer sliding scale pricing. So right off the bat, our standard ticket price is less than half of what the in-person conference traditionally is. Our standard pricing is $60. And then in addition, we are offering discounted tickets for those people who are basically in need, where that extra dollars makes a difference. And we're also offering supporter tickets at $75 that essentially are funding the tickets of those who decide to get the discounted tickets. So basically people can choose how to contribute. You may not, I don't think you've mentioned it yet during this video, but MTTA is a nonprofit organization. No one is making any money on this. It is 100% volunteer led. All of the money that is collected goes back into the community through the educational efforts and the history preservation projects that we have. But the other important thing I want to note is for those who are facing any challenges, especially at this time in history with COVID and everything that's happened, we really wanted to make sure that this educational material is accessible. And so we also have scholarships available, and there's links on the website for anybody who wants to apply for a scholarship. So we're really trying to do our best to kind of meet all the needs that we can.
Okay, discounted prices, scholarship. There's no excuse not to register and attend MSC Worldwide. Well, thank you, Master Dante, and to all our audience, please don't forget, if you have not done so, register in LSEC Talk, check our old videos, and I will see you next.
Thank you very much, sir.